December 2019. News comes from Wuhan, China, about an alarming novel strain of coronavirus. What we now know as COVID-19 starts spreading, and nations worldwide enforce quarantines and lockdowns. While the world enters crisis mode, a group of filmmakers across the globe grabs their cameras to capture the lives and stories around them. Sharing these stories, they realize, even before COVID-19, we had equally virulent diseases dividing us. Perhaps this virus might be a test for humanity, a wake-up call for change. Filmmakers and storytellers from 22 countries unite in a shared goal to tell the story of a time for healing. This is Sanatione.
It was fine in the beginning. It had been so long that we hadn't stayed idle. We made new recipes, watched films, talked and passed time. As our government imposed yet another month of lockdown, we started getting bored. All those years of constantly being on the run had taken a toll on us. New recipes didn't excite us and films weren't that interesting anymore. Our IT company brought no clients, and living in the city, we had no views to admire. After 2 months, the lockdown was over. So we came to our office and decided to travel again to help one more school. But just as we were ready to leave, we were back in our homes again as the COVID cases rose. We were becoming impatient to leave the city and go to the mountains. When the final month of lockdown was over, cases in the city rose to 1600 per day, but the government decided to open up public transportation. Then we received a call from our village school. They had no cases in the village and would heartily welcome us to this school. There were rumors that the city could go into yet another lockdown any day. If we leave and the city goes into lockdown, we won't be able to return. If we don't leave and there happens to be no lockdown, then we would regret not leaving. We had no hopes of leaving the city as we were in a dilemma. We did our PCR tests on 6th October. Our report came back negative at midnight. The next day, we let go of everything. Without prior plans, we took a bus and left the city. All the chaos and conflicts were slowing down. The journey was long and we knew it from our previous project to the same village, but it didn't quite bother us like it used to on our journeys prior to the COVID. Every milestones we passed by, we were patient and a certain calmness was building within us. After 30 hours of travel in a bus, we reached a small city in Darchula, where we transported all the books and computers from the bus to a jeep, which would take us through the off-roads. We sanitized the jeep and traveled till the road ended. We woke up in Gussa the next day with only 4 hours left to reach the school. But we were in no hurry. We relaxed our tired bones in the warmth of the mountain sun as we watched the day unfold in front of our eyes. We let ourselves be idle for almost midday, and in that idleness we found a longing peace. 3 days ago, we were hearing news about deaths, infection, decreasing economy, and more. But then we were carefree. No sounds of vehicles, no internet, no news, no risk of COVID, only a destination ahead. And so we started our hike towards the school again.
Money.
As we pushed forward, we could see villagers going on about their own business, as if the events of the world has not happened. The remoteness of the place and lack of infrastructure has created its own lockdown for years in this beautiful village. It was the busiest time for the villagers as they must collect straw to mend their homes for winter. We would realize this later as our computers and stationery were still where we left them due to lack of villagers' time to go and get them.
Rasmita, good morning.
Following day, we woke up in a tea house nearby and headed towards the school. Children attended early morning classes only as a nationwide COVID precautionary measure, even though the village had no infections. Since our computers were still on their way, we started with the library books brought by the donkeys and the stationery we ourselves carried to the village. There were no children to be seen during the day, but they were definitely in for a big surprise when the school opens the next day. We set up a library and spent our whole day managing the resources we brought. Some books and copies were still coming one sack at a time. We were eager to meet the children and make our project a success. However, we were notified that our computers will be there only in a 3 days time. So we decided to wrap up our work for the time being. From the school, it was just a 2-day journey reaching Mount Api in the Himalayas. And even though we were there before the lockdown, without any second thought, we decided to push forwards to the sacred mountain. Next day, our trek was through the banks of River Cholani, which originates from Mount Api itself. We took a rest when we were tired and ate when hungry. We listened to the sounds of the nature and let ourselves bask in its glory, things that were of scarce to us before COVID. We could feel the temperature dropping and the air getting thinner as we pushed forwards, and soon enough the Himalayas started showing up. As excited as we were, we still had a long way to go to touch the mountains, and the daylight was going away. It was time to set up camp for the night. We slept peacefully under the stars with no worries of the world, and woke up the next day to find ourselves being surrounded by the majestic mountains. After a few hours of an uphill trek, Mount Api started to become closer and closer until we saw it in its full glory. Everywhere we looked, an unparalleled beauty surrounded us, but the Himalayas were with less or no snow even if it was winter. Our fellow travelers from the village were worried as it had never happened before. That somehow reminded us how the entire world is facing a crisis right now and trying to get over it together. Maybe if they all ride on a same boat when it comes to climate crisis, our future sons and daughters would be able to experience the mountains just like we have. After a treacherous climb of more than 2 hours, we reached Kalidungatal with Mount Marcus in its background. And to be honest, our brain had some trouble processing what our eyes were seeing. So much beauty in one single place. We washed our tiredness with the water from the lake and started to stare at the nature's finest creation. For a brief moment, we could feel the air, hear the waves crashing, and see the glacier falling with our friends around us. The project with One Youth had taken us to a lot of places, but never have we ever been that much at peace. The 5 years of One Youth and One Tech had taught us to make the most out of our time, but the 3 months of lockdown had certainly taught us to make the most out of our life.
कहिल्यै कुवाटामा हुन्छ कहिल्यै कुवारितो फुलिँदै हजारी फुल म फर्किँदैसम्म फुलिँदै हजारी फुल म फर्किँदैसम्म बसाइ कोरेली मेरो चित्त डुलाउन कि जन चौकै जुनेली मेरो मायालाई बुराउन कि
After 2 days, we were back to civilization, where our computers and stationery were waiting for us. We all lent hands to each other to help set up computers and divide the stationery for children. One by one, the students started to join us. Some of their smiles were hidden inside their masks, but their eyes sparkled with joy, which lifted our spirits. Our mission was finally successful when we met the children and distributed bags, copies, colors, pencils, and chocolates to them. All in all, it was a beautiful day that reminds us to be patient no matter what. As long as we smile, sing, dance, and are compassionate, our spirits will persist, and everything will turn out to be alright.